Good afternoon, and thank you so much. Can you hear me? Yeah, good. Yeah, thank you so much for this kind introduction. It's a real pleasure to share with you some insights how we at Metsä Group navigate in the changing regulatory and business environment. And as said, I work at Metsä Group. I've been working at Metsä for about 3 years, a bit less, but quite many years of my professional life I've spent in the field of research and teaching, so it's a real pleasure for me to participate in events like this. We are at the tipping point. Just recently, the amount of anthropogenic mass, meaning the mass of all man-made materials, exceeded all global living biomass. Naturally, very dense materials like concrete and aggregates, they dominate the anthropogenic mass. But it is of interest to note that the amount of plastics on Earth at the moment is double the mass of all animals on Earth. And as we all know, over 90% of the plastics production is based on utilizing virgin fossil resources. Fortunately, increasing amount of actors in Europe and globally have noticed that we cannot continue business as usual. We cannot continue producing and consuming goods in the ways we are used to. But instead, we have to adapt our production and also our lifestyles more to the planetary boundaries. And also the policymakers in the EU have noticed this, and this is a really good thing. And during this commission, they have initiated this so-called Green Deal initiative. And the goals, aims of Green Deal, they are really good. But what is a bit challenging or has been challenging is that the Commission has not paid enough attention to that there is no one size with all solutions and that all these different 28 member states, they are different. So many of the policy files, which are many during this commission, here are some examples, they really much go into the details and they kind of specify how the actors should reach these aims instead of just giving the direction and aims and letting the economic operators to choose the best ways how to reach the targets. We at Metsä Group, we are committed to contributing to the green transition. What makes us unique is that our parent company, Metsäliitto Cooperative, is owned by over 90,000 Finnish private forest owners. As a company, we don't own any forest, so vice versa, the forest owners own us. But one of our business areas, Metsä Forest, offers forest management services. Altogether, we have 5 business areas, and in addition to Metsä Forest, we have Metsä Fiber, which operates our bioproduct mills and sawmills, Metsä Wood, that produces engineered wood products, mechanical wood products, for example, for construction, Metsä Board, that produces paperboards, especially for packaging applications, Metsä Tissue, that produces tissue papers and greaseproof papers. We also have an innovation company, Metsä Spring, which, for example, invests in startups and carries out own R&D projects. Altogether, we are over 9,000 people working at Metsä Group globally, but all our production takes place in the Northern Europe. It's an advantage for us that we have under the same umbrella a large part of the wood value chain. All parts of the harvested wood are utilized in a resource-efficient and smart way, meaning that the thickest parts of the harvested wood, so the logs, are utilized for mechanical wood products, for example, for construction. And then the thinner parts, which could be called kind of the side streams of the logs, they are utilized in our bioproduct mills, and then the residues only for direct energy use. We also pay a lot of attention to utilization, a smart utilization of side streams together with our partners. For example, we operate 2 bioproduct mills, the other one in Äänekoski, the other one in Kemi, Finland, which are based on an ecosystem concept, meaning that the main product of the mill is pulp, but then many of the side streams of the mills are refined into valuable bioproducts by our partners. For example, just recently, Veolia made an investment decision that they will invest in a biomethanol refining plant. So biomethanol is one side stream of pulping, and so far it has been utilized for energy, but then after Veolia's plant is ready, it can be refined and sold as for raw material for chemical industry or transport fuel industry. My background is in chemistry, so one of my favorite examples in refining side streams is that in our Äänekoski and Kemi mills, even the odorous gases, so the emissions, they are not only captured, but they are utilized as raw material for making sulfuric acid. So that's a really good example of circular chemistry. Another very topical issue for us, and another favorite of mine, is also that we are investigating the possibility to capture biogenic CO2 from our bioproduct mills. And then, obviously, we need the value chain, and we are especially interested in then capturing the biogenic CO2 and selling it forward in the value chain to be utilized as raw material for other bioproducts. And of course, this biogenic CO2 would open up a completely new raw material platform for bio-based products. When navigating in the field of forest bioeconomy and in its changing regulatory and business landscape, I would like to highlight 4 aspects. And they include defossilization is needed also in the material sector, regenerative forestry, collaboration along the value chain, and sustainability data on products and production. We have in place at Metsä Group several 2030 sustainability targets. And one of them is that we aim that by 2030 we would have completely fossil-free mills, meaning that they wouldn't utilize any fossil fuels nor energy, nor fossil raw materials. And we follow our proceedings regarding these sustainability targets and also the other sustainability targets in a very systematic way and publish the results also in our annual reports. So our previous annual report was published in February. So if you're interested, please have a look in the internet. Obviously, it's not enough to have in place targets. It's the actions that count. And all of our mills, they have a mill-specific roadmap, how this target of a fossil-free mill will be achieved. And here are some examples of our investments. Some of the investments are related to modernizing our existing mills, and some of them are related to constructing completely new mills. I was just discussing before my presentation with Niklas, who is also here in the audience and responsible for our Metsä Spring operations, or the CEO of Metsä Spring, that if we look at the future plans or the planned future investments, what are the aspects that contribute to whether the investments take place or not? Obviously, there are technological things, economic things, you need to pre-engineer and do stuff like that. But a big impact is also in the regulatory field. How does the regulatory field develop? That has a big impact. Which of these investments will realize, will come true, and which won't? It was great that last December, when there was this COP28 meeting, one of the major outcomes was that there's a common agreement now to transition away from fossil fuels in the energy sector. But obviously it goes without saying that this defossilization is also needed in the material sector. And now when thinking of the policy discussions in the EU, and now soon we will have a new commission and new policy making will take place, a very crucial question is, how can we transition away from virgin fossil raw materials also in the material sector? There are already several communications, so some policy papers which actually show that the policymakers have been thinking about this. The first one from them dates from 2021. But still, there's a lot to do in policy files and regulation so that we could really start to think, how can we, in the material sector, start utilizing more sustainable sources of carbon? Obviously, it's not possible to decarbonize the material sector, otherwise we would have very little organic materials around, but it's possible to utilize more sustainable sources of carbon. And in this, of course, bioeconomy plays a crucial role. In policy making, as said, I also participate or support our advocacy work. And one very crucial thing in policy making is definitions. And in order that the regulation really works, the definitions should be science-based and coherent. And in the recent policy discussions, we have been highlighting, together with other bioeconomy players, that we would need a science and standard-based definition for renewable carbon. In standards, we already have definitions what is renewable, and we have a definition what is renewable resource, but we don't have any definition yet what is renewable carbon about. And thus we suggest that the definition of renewable carbon should be in line with the existing standards, and that renewable carbon would be utilized for carbon which originates from sustainably sourced renewable resource that can be natural or artificially grown or generated or replenished using processes found in nature within a human time scale. And this definition doesn't mean that we wouldn't need recycled fossil carbon as well. Of course we need, but to make the discussion and also the carbon mathematics exact, we need to somehow separate what is renewable carbon and then what is recovered carbon. And obviously also in the policy discussions, we are much highlighting the opportunities of capturing of biogenic CO2 and the opportunities for new value chains. I don't know how many of you think that this would be a good definition for renewable carbon. At least some, okay. But think about it. Probably it's not yet the final, wording, but just something that we would need to have a definition that is based on science and standards. Last spring, so spring 2023, Metsä Group committed to the principles of regenerative forestry. And that means that our aim is that by 2030, we will have measurable positive biodiversity impacts in forests. And as I said, as a company, we don't own any forest, but we offer forest management services. And last summer, Metsä Forest, they launched a new forest management service called Metsä Group Plus. And the Metsä Group Plus service, it includes increased amount of biodiversity actions in forest management. And if a forest owner takes Metsä Group Plus into use in his or her forest, then when we purchase wood from his or her forest, we pay a hectare-based bonus. And obviously, one very crucial thing in the development is that we also want to be able to measure the impacts of these biodiversity actions. And we are collaborating with academia also to find better metrics for biodiversity impacts. Sorry. Oh. I want to go back, so this one. The main principle in regenerative forestry is that we manage all the ecosystem services in the forest in a holistic way. And it means that wood production is seen as one of the ecosystem services, but not the only one. So this is kind of an integrated way to produce wood. It doesn't include any land use conversion, no land use changes occurring, and it kind of wants to highlight that there is more than wood in the forests. We also pay attention to that we only utilize natural tree species. So the goal is to enhance the state of nature by 2030 as a part of regenerative forestry and really to have metrics in place to measure the biodiversity impacts. It can never be highlighted enough that it really necessitates collaboration to carry out this sustainability transformation. This is one example of a collaboration hub. It's from Äänekoski, our production site, and it's Metsä Board's Excellence Center. It's a hub where Metsä Board invites customers and customers, and together they have workshops in which they design sustainable circular packaging together with the help of Metsä Board's R&D people, sustainability experts, packaging designers. And what is great is that in this hub they have these kinds of virtual simulation tools made by Dassault. They're actually the same kind of simulation tools that are utilized by the aircraft industry. And so they can simulate the different packaging designs, which is also sustainable because then you need to do less prototypes. And very nice, outcomes have come out from this kind of collaboration. The fourth thing in my list of highlighting aspects, in addition to collaboration, regenerative forestry, and refossilizing the material sector, is the increasing need of sustainability data on products and production. This is also an example from Metsä Board. They have made on the carbon footprint of one of their cardboard called Pro FAB Fright. And I took this example because I think this is the way we need to move forward due to our internal aspects, due to customer needs, and also due to green claims regulation. So all the green claims that we state, they have to be substantiated by data and the claims have to be very specific. So you have to explain how the data is produced, what steps in the life cycle it takes into account, where can you find more information, etc. So sustainability data includes life cycle aspects, but it also includes knowledge on what is the end-of-life way, or what are the end-of-life parts for the products. This is one of the innovations of Metsä Spring. So it's Muoto 3D fiber product. So it can be molded into different shapes, for example, in packaging. And at the moment, we are actually investigating the possibility to invest in a real industrial scale production. So still, Muoto is in demo production in our Äänekoski site, but now we have started to pre-engineer to build up a commercial scale plant in Rauma. But already at this stage, it has been tested that Muoto is recyclable in the existing material, in the existing recycling streams. And it has been tested according to this SEPI and for evergreen recyclability test protocol. And I think we all have been following a bit of packaging and packaging waste regulation, and Andre will in his presentation tell more details about it. But one of the rules in this new regulation is that no packaging can be placed on the European market if it's not recyclable or reusable. I'd also like to highlight the importance of the value chain collaboration. I don't know how many of you know the Forever Green initiative. Some of you. So it's an international value chain collaboration initiative. It's not an R&D hub, or it's not an advocacy association. The idea is to collect all the actors in the fiber-based packaging value chain together and produce outcomes such as recycling testing protocol, such as guidelines how to design recyclable fiber-based packaging. So as you can see, for example, also the recycles, the industrial recycles are part of this initiative. So if a recycling testing protocol is designed, then also the recyclers who do the recycling work, they are really part of the discussion and they take these guidelines into use. So I think that in future we will need these kinds of value chain collaboration initiatives increasingly. And then last but not least, I would like to highlight that sustainability science and its developments, they of course have impacts on industry innovations, on business innovations, but they also have a big impact in the developments in regulation. For example, at the moment, an emerging issue in the sustainability science is the concept of sufficiency, meaning that how could we not only be resource efficient, but make do with less and prioritize needs over wants. And we also at Metsä Group, we think that sustainability is a journey. We are quite good in resource efficient productions. We have fossil-free targets. We are moving into circular economy, but we need to collaborate more and more to really proceed in our journey. So that was my highlights. Looking forward if you have any questions, comments, and also probably then it's possible for the audience to state comments during the panel.
That's right. Thank you so much. Let's give an applause. I think we can take one question from the public. And here I can also see if there is something from the chat. Over there, maybe Andrei.
I have a question to Maija because I can't answer the question in my next session. So bio-based plastics in the PPWR, what's your assessment in terms of...
bio-based plastics?
Yes.
First of all, there are so many different types of bio-based plastics, so I think there are very good alternatives. Or do you think that what is the... It depends. For example, you can produce so-called drop-in bio-based plastics, for example, normal polyethylene. Normally, a large part of the polyethylene is produced from crude oil, but you can also make the exactly same polymer, for example, from sugarcane. And then the end product is the same, so then you can recycle it in the existing waste streams. So bio-based plastics, it's a large, large family of products. I sometimes suggested that we would get rid of the word plastic, because whenever we talk about, for example, metals, we also always refer to what metal we are talking about. You never say that, oh, you have a very nice metal necklace. So you always refer to gold or silver or something like that. So I think when we speak about plastics, we should start using more specific names, which materials we are talking about. Sorry, a long answer, and I actually didn't answer your question, but...
I think that was a very good answer, because it is not an easy issue, and we will discuss more in the panel. Maybe one question from then the people on the online streaming. What kind of side streams is Metsä Group producing that needs most valorization, or is the highest in the priority?
I think we have many types of side streams, and especially concerning all our, because we have different business areas and different productions. But I can say that one of the most challenging side streams is green liquor dregs. So if you have any novel ideas how to utilize green liquor dregs, please contact Anna, my colleague from Metsä Fibre. She's there. She's very enthusiastic about hearing about novel ideas. We obviously have already R&D work ongoing, and we are collaborating with some academics. For example, how could you utilize green liquor dregs in producing geopolymers? But new ideas are very welcome. So please contact Anna. She's sitting there.
Thank you so much, Maija, and we will have a chance to ask more questions during the panel.